On the spotlight this week, we've got three dandy men, Abhay, Deol, Siddharth Malhotra and Aditya Roy Kapoor. And by dandy, we mean men who like to dress a little quirky.
I'm not quite sure whether they'd like to be called a dandy, but of course, as we understand it, it's about taking it up a few notches. There's one thing to be dressy, but then when you add the bells and whistles, that is dandy. But here's what it's all about. Say the word dandy to someone who understands fashion, and you'd be thinking of men in ruffled shirts, brocaded velvet suits, and wild kipper ties. That's in the swinging 60s. Cut straight to the 21st century, and you see that dandy is back. Redefining the era where men take their dressing up very seriously, and oh yes, very differently.
Well, I think it's important to kind of go well turned out wherever you go out in the city. And it's fun to actually dress up, even for the men. And I think why should all the dressing up be just reserved for the ladies?
Sure, dressing up is all about having fun, experimenting with fabrics, colors, cuts, even prints and patterns. You see them everywhere, on wallets, belts, ties, pocket squares and scarves. The biggest trend this year has been color for men. Mint green, pink, bright orange, men are wearing it all.
Today there are no limits for colors for men. Color is a way of expressing your confidence in who you are as a person.
And you don't have to go all color. Just a pop here or there could immediately transform your boring outfit into an edgy one. Like designer stylist Rajat Tangri suggests a blue muslin printed scarf with a checkered jacket, or then a bright red belt if you're not sure about that scarf. Then there are paisley prints on ties and pocket squares. Tone it down, wear it with a sober jacket.
It's young, it's fresh, and it's kind of funky, and this little pop of color actually brings out the jacket.
Lending itself to fabrics like silk, color for men is here to stay. Come winters, and men in flashy silk suits and accessories will rule the fashion roster. Like we always say, God is in the details. Check out these men. Abhay, Deol, Siddharth Malhotra, Aditya Roy Kapoor. They've got color, a mix of textures and fabrics, in patterns that are a harmonious mix of checks and solids. Also fine detailing with lapel accessories. They've got the works, each one putting out a personal sense of style.
We are talking about the dandification of men, and the way you turned out, I'm seeing a lot of that on display. You know, we are making that shift from just turning out well, being dressy, and now we're seeing the big shift towards turning up the good looking, the dressy to another level. It seems like it's about individuality.
I think it's important to always do that, because people will always try and fit into whatever the current trend is. So I don't think that's always going to be there. So being individualistic is just one of choice, and some people are and some people aren't.
Abhay, you're of a slightly different vintage. Yeah, perhaps mine in that sense. So, you know, there is a different approach where it was all about dressing down. Even if you dressed up, you said, oh, I just pulled out a few things out of the closet and decided to kind of put this together.
Yeah.
It's changed now?
Well, I've always been one, and as you had said about individuality, I've always been one to kind of put something on that I like, not necessarily something that would conform. And I think with Blackberrys, it's kind of in that zone where they're also kind of creating something that is individual, as you said, as opposed to conformist.
So if you had an identity that would say that this is Abhay Deol today in terms of dressing style, what would you say that is?
Maybe the bow tie for tonight.
Yeah.
This is me.
You've done that often?
It's a cool bow.
No, actually it's my first time.
Really?
That's why I'm saying it's me tonight.
But this is a ready-made bow?
This one, yeah.
Or has it been tied to you?
It's been tied for me, actually.
Siddharth?
Yes.
What would you say is your style?
Well, I think what I'm wearing today is, it defines progressive. I think it's quite quirky, it's got a lot of patterns. I wish I had those black glasses. I would probably look like a director, an intellectual. A lot of pattern, the tweeds that I'm wearing, the dandy, the thing on my jacket, a flower on my jacket.
It's dandy.
Dandy, yeah, dandy with a dandy. So yeah, so I think we have to go ahead and be progressive. As
Why? The question is why? Why do you need to?
It's becoming, I think, just to make it not so boring, not so, I think classic can also get to you at times. You need something different, you need to push the envelope, be edgy. So yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to push.
So you agree this is dandy?
Yes.
Yeah. But I'm seeing like the ankles having ridden up and, you know, socks showing, etc.
Don't look at my legs, yeah. What are you doing? Yeah? Come on.
Ankles.
You got dandy legs.
That you make me.
That's the point made, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so the essential idea is that it's important to be different. It's important to stand out. And I don't know if it's a function of the spaces that you work in. Because, you know, a lot of people idolize you and you would be setting the trends.
I think it's important just to be you. So I'm sure like
Yeah,
Aditya has his own
absolutely.
individuality and he does it because that's him. I could say, I imagine Sid as well. So I think it's just important to be you.
You've done a lot of leather jackets with like a thin tie, a casual shirt.
I've worn one leather jacket, I think, in my days. Yeah. But they look cool. Leather jackets are nice as well, yeah. I like a leather jacket. Bombay, the weather doesn't really allow us to wear. You look silly sometimes if you... so the weather has to be right to wear leather.
Right. And you? Would you do a lot of leather?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like you said, Bombay.
Like we're going into winter right now. So in the sense, you know, how would you kind of work on your look if you were to create that individuality and if you were to...
I think a shirt and leather jacket also goes. I've worn that recently, but not in Bombay. Again, it doesn't. Bombay doesn't really allow you to wear so many layers because of the weather. But yeah, there are designers who are making thin leather jackets which are not so warm.
That's right.
So yeah, I think a leather jacket and shirt or a t-shirt is something again classic, which is everybody's seen that.
Right.
That's not something edgy or different. So I think this is, if you want to go different, I think this is what we're wearing today.
You know, just to kind of turn up that entire thing about being an individual in your own right, being progressive, you did a film, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, and the aspiration is to kind of, you know, hit the refresh button on your life.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great aspiration to have as well. So in that sense, to refresh what you're all about, it's part of the entire aspiration of men.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it from the perspective of what you wear, it's a great way to express yourself, I suppose, and maybe not being stuck to the same look year in and year out. You might want to go with the trends, or you might want to change your individuality because of what you wear. It suddenly says something different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you can get stuck in the way you dress, and it can just become a part of you, and you want to change, but it's tough to get out of it. So, like, if you hear the call, you should just do it, you know?
All things that were known to be a woman's thing to wear, from brooches, scarves, rolled up pants, shoes without socks or bright colors, are all breaking new ground in men's wardrobes. Clearly, dandyism is in and thriving. Men take notice, drop those inhibitions and go dandy this season.
All right, let's take a very quick break here at Aspire from gorgeous looking men.